Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Max Velocity weather forecast. And in today's forecast, we'll be breaking down the threat of a winter storm that could be on the horizon for parts of the northeast United States. And this has the potential to bring a pretty good amount of snowfall, including the potential for as much as 6 to 12 inches of snow. We'll also be breaking down the threat of warmer weather on the horizon and why the weather is actually going to become very inactive as we go into early February. I'll be giving you the latest breakdown on everything that you need to know in this forecast, and let's begin first with what's happening across the United States today. And we will begin with the Mississippi Valley and as well as the East Coast, and this is where we actually have a lot of showers and thunderstorms ongoing right now. Notice this area of dark red on the infrared imagery. That's representing cold cloud tops aloft, which means we actually have some pretty tall thunderstorms right now stretching from Louisiana and the Gulf of Mexico back even into southern Tennessee. And we do have a slight risk of severe weather, by the way, for parts of Mississippi and Alabama today. And then we'll have another threat of severe weather as we go into Saturday. So definitely a couple of days to watch for very closely, as there will be a threat of severe weather in those areas. And then further off to the east, we do have some showers and a few thunderstorms, but overall, most of this is just cloud cover stretching from the northeast back through the east coast. By no means is this area of showers and storms our winter storm, though. Our winter storm is actually going to be coming from back here to the west, and this is all going to be from an upper level disturbance. It's going to ride over the Rocky Mountains. It's going to develop more than anything tomorrow night, and eventually that'll move toward the northeast as we go into Sunday into Monday, and that'll bring the potential for a winter storm. And we're going to break that down for you in depth here in just a moment. I did want to show you the cloud cover across the United States because I've had a lot of people saying, why is it so cloudy right now? Well, January is actually one of our cloudier months of the entire year for the United States, especially in the southern plains. But notice there is a lot of cloud cover right now, and this is really due to the fact we've had multiple storms here in the United States, and they've continued to bring just tons of cloud cover from the Gulf of Mexico, leading tons of moisture up to the north. The temperatures are in a pretty prime spot for it as well, where the dew point and the temperature meet, leading to more cloud cover, and we have a lot of that right now, again, across much of the United States. Even back over on the west coast, there aren't very many areas that have sunny skies today, and that's going to continue through tomorrow until we start to see more of an inactive weather pattern enter the United States. And speaking of inactive weather patterns, let's talk a bit more about the weather pattern that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 to 10 days, and then we'll talk about the winter storm. But the jet stream essentially will give us an idea of the weather patterns that are happening across the United States. And right now we do have a low pressure system that is located right over here in the central United States, and the really critical part about this is that it's bringing the showers and thunderstorms across the Mississippi Valley and the southeast. But once we go into Friday, we're going to have another low pressure system develop in the southern plains. This will be the one that could bring the winter storm to the northeast and even parts of the Ohio Valley and the Midwest. We'll also see a little bit of snowfall to go along with it. And then once we go into Saturday, this moves off to the east and northeast. So notice that low pressure system over the Ohio Valley by Sunday morning. This will bring the potential for some snowfall across parts of the northeast, stretching from northern Virginia back into southern New England. And then once we go into Sunday into Monday, that moves out. And then eventually we will be dealing with a very strong ridge. And we're going to talk a lot more about this in our next forecast. But this will be the sole reason why the weather is going to become very inactive as we go into next week, really the end of this month into early February. This massive omega block pattern, which is something we don't really see that often in winter, is going to be impacting the United States, and this is going to lead the very strong Pacific jet stream crashing tons of storms into the west coast of the United States, but it's really not going to bring much activity into the Great Plains or the East Coast until this omega block pattern breaks. So it's going to probably be a pretty inactive couple of weeks here across the United States, even including this week after we're done with these couple of storms. By the weekend and into early next week, aside from the winter storm, there's really not going to be much happening here in the United States. Now let's talk more about what's upcoming over the next few days on the future radar and break down this winter storm for you more in depth. And we'll also talk about the severe weather potential here in just a few minutes. This is what we're looking at for today. We have plenty of showers and thunderstorms stretching from the Midwest back into areas in the southeast United States, with a couple of isolated severe storms being possible. Overall, most of the shower activity in the Midwest is not thunderstorms. Once we go into tomorrow morning, that shower and storm activity moves into the north and east. We will have a chance for some isolated freezing drizzle to freezing rain across parts of northern New England back into southern Canada. Showers and thunderstorms continue back down in the southeast, but I'm not expecting any severe weather out of those. And also, as we go into Friday afternoon, another low pressure system will develop here down in the southern plains, and this will bring the potential for some showers and thunderstorms thunderstorms, I wouldn't rule out an isolated strong or severe storm. Notice back up in here as we go into Friday afternoon, we will be seeing some light to moderate snow across parts of Maine. Not really expected to be a winter storm there. That'll be more of a winter weather advisory sort of event, so more just of a winter event, pretty normal sort of stuff there. A few inches of snow will come out of that. Once we go into Friday night and Saturday morning, showers and storms will begin to explode across parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, and this will bring the threat for a few isolated severe storms across Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Tennessee, even perhaps North Carolina and South Carolina. Going into Saturday, we'll be dealing with a few severe storms. The main concern right now is damaging winds and perhaps a couple of tornadoes. By the time we go into Sunday, this is when we'll be talking more about the potential for a winter storm. So watch this as we go into Sunday morning. We'll be dealing with a low pressure system beginning to intensify as it moves toward the east coast. By the afternoon hours, we'll have to be watching for the potential for some light to moderate snow on the northern side of this low pressure system, spanning from Ohio back into areas in southern New England. Once we go into the late afternoon and evening hours, that snow becomes a bit heavier and starts to dominate more across New Hampshire, Vermont, as well as Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, back into Pennsylvania and New York, and even northern New Jersey. And then once we go into the overnight hours into Monday morning, that snow will continue, but it will start to fizzle out as we go into the afternoon hours. I'll have a much more detailed breakdown on this here in about 30 seconds, but I do want to mention what's coming on Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll have some light snow across parts of the Midwest on Tuesday. This is still an isolated chance right now. It's a low chance of happening, but there will potentially be a little bit of light snow there. And then once we go into Wednesday and Thursday of next week, things become pretty quiet here across the United States overall. Now, this is what we're looking at more in detail with this potential winter storm this weekend. This is what we're looking at Saturday morning, some light passing snow showers. That's by no means a winter storm. But by Sunday morning, this is what we're going to be having to watch for, is this low pressure system down here to the south. And depending on where it tracks, that'll be a really critical part to where the heaviest of the snowfall falls out of this particular event. But right now, going to Sunday morning, there will be some light to moderate snowfall mixing in with rain from Ohio back into New York and Pennsylvania. Once we go into the afternoon hours, this starts to ramp up a bit more, with heavier snowfall being possible from eastern Pennsylvania back into southern New England. And by Monday morning, the snow is still ongoing across areas like northern New Jersey, northeast Pennsylvania, and southeast New York, with the heaviest of the snowfall likely to be located between New Hampshire and northeast Pennsylvania. But again, the critical part that we need to watch for over the next 24 to 48 hours with this forecast is where this low pressure system tracks. If it tracks further up here to the north, we're going to see a lot more of the snowfall up here and not closer to areas like New York City. But if we see a low pressure center go this direction, that snow will definitely be more in play for those in southern New England, and as well as back near the New York City area, and as well as Pennsylvania. We'd even see some snow through the Appalachian Mountains. Once we go into a really late Monday morning into the afternoon hours, that snow will start to taper off. We will still have some snow along areas from Maine back into southern New England, and eventually as we go into Tuesday, all of this clears out with a few extra passing snow showers as we go throughout Tuesday and as well as Wednesday. Now, if this all ends up happening, which again, there's still some uncertainty here, the exact details yet to be really determined here, but if this track ends up happening, everything stays on track, we'll be talking about the threat of 4 to 8 inches of snow across a widespread area. In addition to that, we could see some areas as high as 12 inches of snow when this event is all said and done. But I think for the majority of places, we're going to see between 4 to 8 inches of snow. There will be some isolated spots, though, that could get upwards of 8 to 12 inches of snow. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. This will definitely be something to watch for as we get closer. I do want to quickly mention that there is a threat of severe weather over the next few days. Beginning with today, there is a slight risk of severe weather for Mississippi and Alabama. That is primarily for this afternoon. So obviously, if you're watching this forecast at like 6 o'clock tonight, most of the threat of severe weather will be dwindling down by then. Flying fences Friday, pretty quiet overall. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a marginal threat of severe weather in North Texas for some isolated damaging winds, perhaps a brief tornado. And then once we go into scary storm Saturday, it won't be too scary, but we do have a slight risk of severe weather across Alabama and western Georgia. Main concern right now is isolated damaging winds and perhaps an isolated tornado or two. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.